I already know immediately what some of you guys are going to say about Destiny because I was kind of right there with you. Just for some quick backup, I guess, some history, I jumped into the first Destiny head first. I played it a ton when it first released, kind of trying to convince myself to like it, and ultimately it dried up for me and I didn't get it. I was surrounded by friends who continued to play the expansions and do all the raids and play essentially constantly for 2 years, and I just didn't get it. So I went into Destiny 2 hoping it would completely be a different game, a better game, kind of capitalizing on the concept, and it's not really that. It doesn't solve all the problems at all. But at the same time, I really, really like it, and I find myself going home and playing Destiny like every night. I think thanks to some little design changes and some tweaks here and there, it's kind of made it the Destiny that my friends saw with the original Destiny after playing for hundreds of hours. Here, you get a little bit more of a grip on it more quickly, and I think that's why it works. Now, I will say completely, it's the same game. And in a lot of ways, yeah, it does feel like Destiny 1.5. But here, you do get a little more. You get a story. The story is kind of typical sci-fi, but they take the time to at least set up and establish a villain and some interesting characters from the first game that weren't really fleshed out. So it does give you something to play through, and it's a good story that you're going to knock out, but the story isn't really the main thing here. It's about playing with other people and grinding and having fun and just making and building a better character with better loot. That's really the hook. But I do think Destiny 2 does a good job of making everything feel like way more of a big deal, not just an MMO quest that's dumped on you and it's just, hey, here's a quest, hey, here's a raid, hey, here's a strike. There's a bit more to it. Everything feels like a much bigger deal. Like every mundane thing you do has much more of like a grander feel to it. Even if it's just through little design choices and honestly some smoke and mirrors with just some sound effects and some better cutscenes and better dialogue, it still definitely makes it feel like a different game. And you don't pick up on it immediately, because I definitely didn't. But this also makes Destiny 2 feel different in that way. It's paced faster. If you did play vanilla Destiny and didn't really like it like me, you technically didn't even get to see the game that the hardcore fans poured so much time into like 40 hours later. Now you still have to grind to be able to be raid ready and get your light level up and stuff, which is now called a power level. It's all the jargon of these types of games. But Destiny 2 does a good job of introducing you much earlier on to what you're actually going to be doing and what the actual point of a Destiny game is. Because Destiny honestly isn't just some single player adventure that you play through and that's it. It's an in-between. It's a hybrid between like an MMO and a single player PvE shooter. It works because it doesn't dick around this time. The game completely knows what it is. It figured it out last time with the original Destiny. It starts off and is the game that people who stuck around with Destiny got to see, and that's where the appeal is. It does a good job of kind of making you feel, like I said earlier, that you're doing big things, but also you're consistently gaining and growing. And now, look, it's all still one big grind. That's what the game is. You're going to be shooting enemies over and over and over and over again. But it still feels way more satisfying and like a bit snappier. Even just strikes and patrols have way more excitement to them and more variety, and everything is actually thought and planned and written out instead of it just being as just randomly generated. Not only that, but it's just a Bungie shooter, and you can't help but like a Bungie shooter. The music's fantastic, the look and the vibe, and the lore is still messy, but it's starting to get there. You're starting to get a feel for this place, and the shooting just feels really good. The ability types, the different weapon types, and just, like I said, the feel of it just makes it feel really good and fun. Plus, too, what I like what the story really does, it takes the first game, which had the very, like, godly, pretentious, like, creatures of protecting this space thing. They're basically space warriors. And it kind of just screws them all up and screws them out of their power and throws them all on a farm. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of Age of Ultron with that scene where they're all at Hawkeye's ranch. And I like that. I like that little bit of self-awareness. The lore even uses terms that players came up with to represent things in the original game. This is very much a community-focused game, and a lot of people have been asking me, like, Jake, can I play through it single player? Can I get by playing single player? And honestly, most of the time I have been playing by myself, and it does get a little boring sometimes, but ultimately I still pushed myself through it. And the times where I do link up with friends or just matchmake with other people to do a strike or a patrol or whatever, or even the raid, that's where it's at its best. That's worth the grinding and the playing and the getting the gear, so that when you do link up with friends or randoms and you have to do something together, it works that much better. Now, a lot of people do say, like, oh, the game is just glorified DLC. It's just you buy one and then you have to buy more and more and more. And to that I say, in the first Destiny, Destiny was harder to defend because the game didn't really figure itself out, but with this, it's expansions. If you've ever played a PC game, expansion packs and expansions on the content are normal. I'm not going to defend the corporation at all. I do think the shader business, it kind of sucks. The fact that shaders are now one-time use consumables and you have to kind of run around and gather up a bunch does feel kind of shitty and catered towards the microtransactions, but so far I have been getting tons and tons, so I don't think it's a big deal. And ultimately, I don't think some people are going to want to hear this, but I do think that some of the people that complain about the microtransactions in this game don't actually play Destiny because they don't bother you and most people don't really care about them. That's, of course, not a defense at all because I do not like a lot of these things, but I'm just saying. I really like the worlds and the planets they put here. I like the fact that they don't give you a sparrow right away so you can't cruise around. You actually have to walk on foot and kind of smell the roses and enjoy the environments. I like that. I do wish there were more enemy types. I found that a little bit of a bummer, especially after all Destiny 1 went through. You're just kind of shooting mostly the same dudes, and that bummed me out. But I do think this is a way more special game than the first one. While it is still very much the same game, and I think I've been telling a lot of people who didn't like the first one, are they gonna like this one? Maybe not. If you didn't like the core gameplay loop of the first game, then you're not gonna like it here. But if you had some problems with the structure and basically the arrangement and what you were supposed to do in the original Destiny, here they've reworked it, and that's where I think it is worth trying again. It's not my main full-time game. I like to jump in and kick back with the Yakuza games and stuff, but here, every once in a while, it's more of a game where you turn your brain off and you just go shoot some stuff, get some new gear, you play for an hour or two, you know, you do the raid, you do the strike for a night, and then you're good and you get your rewards. It's that type of experience, and I never thought I would be that person, but I'm hooked now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. You deserved better. I'm sorry. But I do dig it. I really fucking dig it. I was trying to kind of take my time on this video to really try and think of why I like this one more than the original Destiny. I hope I got that point across, but I do want to talk to you guys down in the comments. If you're a huge Destiny fan, first of all, let's talk. How do you feel about the changes here? Do you like most of them? But if you aren't a Destiny fan, I want to hear from you. I said some controversial things, some things some of you probably don't want to hear, so let's talk about it civilly down in the comments. Let's just talk about anything Destiny 2 down there. I'll be down there with you guys, but you know, you can hit me up on social media as well. Thanks for coming around here, listening to me ramble more about games. You know, I do it and before you buy and I write them out and I come up with the process and everything. But here it's kind of just good to put the camera on and just get my thoughts across kind of unfiltered, you know? So thank you guys for joining me. As always, you know, clicking this like button does help me out over here, but I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. You can subscribe because video games.